Hello guys, and welcome to this 8th tutorial about the full SQL course for beginners. If you haven't already watched the first parts, you can find the link in the description. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about two other types of joins, which are the self-join and the null-safe join. These two types are frequently asked in interviews. So to do that, we start by the self-join. The self-join is defined as the join where the table is joined with itself. We are going to start with the self join, so we are going to use the word database. Okay, so we are going to use a word, and the objective is to select the pairs of country names. Okay, the most important thing in the self join is the aliases. As you can see here, we'll import data from the same table, okay, which is country table, and we use two different aliases. Okay, we will join country with country, but we are going to use different aliases. So we have C1 and C2. So we are going to see first what we have in the country table. Okay, so select all from country. And we have the following. So we have the name of the countries, we have the continent, the region, etc. So here we will have all the countries in Europe and we will join them depending on the region. So we will have a region, and in each region we will have all the possible pairs. So we select C1.name, so the name from C1, which is country, and C2.name, which is also country but with different alias, which is C2. Then we select the region. So we'll have three different columns from, as I said, country and country with two different aliases separated with a comma. Where? So the first condition, it means that we don't want duplicates. Okay, so we don't want C1 equals to C1.code. So we don't want the same name which is created with a pair with itself. The second condition, as I said, it will be in Europe and it will be pairs within the same region. Then we are going to order by region. Okay, so if we execute that, we will have all the different pairs. So in the first region, then we have the second region, the third region, etc. Okay, now if we remove the first condition, which is C1 is different than C2, as you will see here, we will have duplicates. Okay, we have Estonia, Estonia, and Lithuania, Lithuania. Okay, so we'll have the duplicates. So basically, the first condition means that we don't want to see duplicates, and we will order that by region. Okay, so this is the order, and of course, all the countries are in Europe. Okay, so self join, as I said, we will join country with country, but we will use different aliases. So the first one is C1 and the second one is C2. We can also select the pairs of countries using the second method, which is the cross join. Here we didn't use any type of join, so we have used the usual SQL keywords, select from where, but here we are going to use the cross join. By definition, the cross join, it performs Cartesian product, okay? And here we select, so C1.name, we give it a name as country1, C2.name as country2, and C1.region. So we have the same thing from C1, so country C1. As you see, we have the same alias, but we don't use a comma to select the second table. We will use the cross join. So we write from country C1, cross join country C2, where, so to remove duplicates, the continent is Europe, the second continent is Europe. So here, since we have used the cross join, we have to define the continent for the first table and the continent for the second table. And also we will have groups depending on regions. So we have all the pairs within each region. Same thing, we order by the region. If we execute that, we will have exactly the same results. As you can see here, we have exactly the same results. Okay, so this is about the self-join. So here we have seen two examples, but the most important thing is that you have to be careful about the aliases that you want to use, okay, because it is with these aliases that you will define your conditions, okay. So this is for the self-join. Now we'll talk about the null-safe join. So the null-safe join is used to handle and join null values. By default, when we use an inner join, it only selects values which are not null. So to look for the null values, we use two methods. We use either the isNull keyword or the null-safe operator. As we will see, the null-safe operator performs an equality comparison like the equal operator, but it returns 1, which means true, rather than null if both operands are null, and returns 0 or false rather than null if one operand is null. For example, if we select 1 equal null, as a result, we will have null. But if we select 1 with the null-safe operator null, we will get 0. So if we only have one operand which is null, we'll get result as 0. But if we have both operands are null, we get a result as 1, which means that true. So if we have 0, it means false. If we have 1, it means true. Okay, same thing. Select 0 equals null, we will have null, and null equal null, we will have null. But null with null-safe operator null, we will get 1. Okay, so to understand that better, we are going to use the joins database that we have created. Okay, you can click on the link above, or you can find the link in the description about the video about joins. So basically, we'll insert in the first table new row, okay, with an ID equals to 5, and we will add null value. So if you select all from table 1, we'll get the following. So we'll have the previous 4 rows with characters, and the fifth value, it will be a null. Same thing, we'll add another value to the second table so that we will have 5 rows in both tables, and we update. So the first row where name2 equals to abc, we are going to put a null value. So if we select all from table 2, we'll get the following. So we'll have 2 tables, each one has 1 null value. Now if we use the default inner join, okay, with an equal operator, so we select all from table 1, inner join table 2, on, so name1 equals to name2, right? So if we select that, we get only the row where the ID equals to 4, and we have the characters, so we don't have the null values. Now if we use the null-safe operator, okay, which is a null-safe operator b, by definition it is the same as writing a equals to b, okay, so we have the following, or a is null and b is null, which means that it will select for us the null values. Okay, so if we use the first method, we use directly the null-safe operator, we'll get the following. So we'll have the null values. Okay, and same thing if we use the other method, which is a detailed explanation about the self-null operator, okay, which is the following, we get exactly the same result, right? So we use the null-safe operator, okay, which is this one, to handle null values when we join our tables, because if we don't use the null-safe operator, if we use only equal, we'll get the result with only characters without null values. And as we have said, the first method is equivalent to the second method, which is by definition the null-safe operator corresponds to the full expression written in here. Okay, so that's it for the 2 other types of joins. I hope that you have learned new thing. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next tutorial.